Hello, my name is Emily Gray. This presentation will outline the effects of regulation on the export supply chain of New Zealand Manuka honey headed for the Chinese consumer market. As with most New Zealand exports of food products, regulation plays a significant part of supplying and exporting Manuka honey. Manuka honey is defined as honey produced by honeybees collecting nectar from the Manuka plant. Honey is a natural product produced by bees as a winter food store, so can therefore not be manufactured, and composition cannot be altered by human interference. To be classed as New Zealand Manuka honey, the honey must be produced by bees collecting nectar from the Manuka plant in New Zealand. Key characteristics of New Zealand Manuka honey are its natural apiary origins, certain DNA traits, and physical factors like viscosity, colour, and taste. Honey is classed as an animal product under the Animal Products Act 1999 and as a food product under the Food Act 2014. The export supply chain of New Zealand Manuka honey starts on the farm, where the bees collect nectar from the Manuka scrub and bring it back to the hive for it to undergo chemical transitions to become honey as we know it. The honey is then harvested from the hives and undergoes a number of processes to clean, purify and test it to ensure it is safe for human consumption. These processes are usually undertaken at processing facilities in New Zealand before the honey is bottled on our shores as well. The honey jars must then pass a number of export requirements before they can be exported to overseas markets. These requirements are enforced in New Zealand before the product leaves, and in China before the product can be accepted at the border. The product must then be marketed in China, which is related to the text on the labels and where and how it is retailed. It is then purchased in retail stores and consumed either by the purchaser or given as a gift and then consumed by the receiver. This slide is a visual representation of the supply chain I just explained. As I explained earlier, the regulation is an important and very present part of the supply chain of New Zealand Manuka honey. It governs the way it is produced, processed, labelled, marketed, retailed, and the way it is consumed. New Zealand has always been strict about the regulations surrounding food products produced in this country, and recent issues regarding Manuka honey has only increased this requirement. Food fraud in China is a huge issue and is highly present in honey sales. Producers are aware that New Zealand Manuka honey receives a high price in the market, so they bottle other varieties of honey into jars labelled as Manuka honey in order to receive that high price. This fraud results in loss of trust in the industry, as well as producers in New Zealand losing profits. New Zealand relies heavily on the export of food products, so the government regulates the export of every food product very strictly. One significant regulatory influence in the supply chain is the issue of the toxic substance tutin found in honey. Tutin contamination causes toxicity in honey and results from bees making honey with nectar collected from passion vine hoppers that have been feeding on tutu, a poisonous shrub found in New Zealand. In 2016, a food standard was released under the Food Act 1981 called Tutin in Honey. The standard ensures a maximum level of tutin permitted in honey sold and exported from New Zealand. So in other words, it is against the law to sell and export honey with high levels of tutin. The maximum level allowed is 0.7 milligrams per kilogram of honey. If honey is found with a level of tutin exceeding this maximum, it must be disposed of by diluting the contaminated honey with uncontaminated honey, feeding it back to the bees, or disposing of it alternatively so it cannot be mistaken for safe for human consumption. Another significant regulatory influence is the General Export Requirements, also known as the Export Certification Requirements for exporting New Zealand honey. The requirements focus on mono or multifloral labelling, laboratory testing, record keeping, and traceability requirements throughout the industry. Legislation requires exporters to test all Manuka honey against the 5 DNA and protein markers set out in the General Export Requirements for bee products, 2017. These 5 markers will illustrate whether the honey is monofloral or multifloral Manuka honey, or if it classes as neither of these. The legislation then requires adequate labelling to obviously demonstrate the floral nature of the honey to be exported, as well as acceptable record keeping to ensure the traceability of the Manuka honey intended for international markets. As I have explained earlier in this presentation, the main threat to the New Zealand Manuka honey export industry is the food fraud occurring in our export destinations. issue is being met with stricter regulations and awareness schemes to ensure customers know when they are purchasing a legitimate New Zealand product. Self-regulation groups like the Unique Manuka Factor Honey Association are also making attempts to ensure retailers and consumers are aware of what products they are purchasing. Due to the industry being such low volume and high value, regulation must be significant to ensure longevity.